Welcome to Your Voice Dorset podcast. My name is Luke Graham and today I'm joined by Hannah and Tony from Ferndown Community Support. Hannah, you founded Ferndown Community Support. Can you tell us a little bit about where you came up with the idea and what the support does?
Yeah, sure. And thank you for having us as well. So we started at the beginning of the pandemic, like a lot of local groups, community groups and things like that. We saw the need very quickly, obviously, when COVID was starting to emerge, that people were going to get very stuck. So it started out Facebook, just, people wanting, people concerned, and very quickly formed on from there into what was quite a huge operation in terms of delivery for COVID, for when people were isolating or shielding. And then it's grown just as much and more from that. Amazing.
So initially it was sort of buying and collecting groceries for people, but now you're doing all sorts of services, including a food larder and a food bank. Can you tell me what the difference is between a food larder and a food bank?
Yeah, sure.
Go for it, Hannah. Go on.
All right. So a food larder is basically it's about surplus and excess. So we all know that supermarkets produce surplus and excess foods, and that food is given to us as a registered organisation, and we are then distributing it out to people. Now, what we do is we keep as much of that surplus that is coming from supermarkets each night back, and we move it to our food bank service, which supports those who are financially most in need and struggling. And then everything that we have that we know we've got more than enough of. Bread is one thing that we've always got more than enough of. Bananas, often when we get bananas, they're obviously at the kind of banana bread kind of stage, and we're usually getting 2, 3, 4 crates at a time when we get them, bearing in mind a crate has about 100 bananas in it. So we know we keep back some, and we know we've got more than enough to support our most vulnerable clients and residents. So everything that's outside of that goes outside and is surplus, and that means that it's available for anyone to take. And that's our larder offering, right. is what is essentially surplus, and we've got more than enough of to support anybody who can make use of it. And we would really welcome that, because it either gets taken by people or it goes in the bin. So that's essentially the difference.
Sure.
And then the food bank obviously is for people who are really struggling financially, much like just a traditional food bank.
Of course. Tony, how did you get involved with FCS?
Hannah gave me a ring when COVID was at its height in 2020, when Hannah founded the charity, if you like, and she wanted somebody who knew a lot of people. I went to school here, grew up in Ferndown most of my life. So, we put the word out. We got together some volunteers and built it from there, really. So, it was a phone call from Hannah. I'm not sure where you got my name from, but that's how it happened, really. I think we met at council once, didn't we? When I came along to a council meeting, and I think that's how it sort of started, yeah.
Mind you are fairly well known, Tony.
Oh, okay, yeah. Not by the police, I hasten to
add. So going back to the food bank, obviously that helps people who are in need. How do people access the food bank? Are they referred to you by other organisations? Who can come and use the food bank?
It's a mix. So we don't operate on a voucher system. But we do check. So we have a definition of poverty, which is the Joseph Rowntree Foundation's definition of poverty. And the Joseph Rowntree Foundation are a UK-based organisation who are experts in the field of poverty and social mobility. And they have commissioned reports and things around that. So that's what we use, and we say to people, if you are struggling to afford to feed yourself and your family, you're very welcome to use us. And you can use us for twice a week for as long as you need to get yourself out of crisis. That doesn't mean to say that they will get a full shop from us. They will get enough. It obviously depends on what donations we have in as to how much we are able to offer. But it will be enough, and it also creates a little bit of a safety net and a shielding, and allows people just to breathe even though they're going to have to top up a bit, that sort of baseline structure of knowing that they're going to be able to get some food for as long as they need whilst they sort things out is probably the most helpful thing that we can possibly deliver.
That's amazing. But as well as the food bank and the food larder, you offer lots of other services, don't you, to help people in the local area?
Yeah.
What are some of those?
Yeah,
Quite
a load on there. It's hard to keep up with that. Hannah moves at fast pace. She's definitely the brains behind it, and me and Stuart, our fellow director, cling on by the tails, just trying to keep up. But yeah, we've got loads of things going on. There's some lovely things coming in the pipeline, which we're working on. But at the moment, we do such things such as Baby Bank, helping with supplies for young children. We've also got, we're the first in the country to establish a medicine bank, which we're working really hard on. We've got qualified people working on that, obviously. It's taken very seriously. We've had to jump through many hoops to get that set up. And we've got some retired nurses who are helping with that to make sure it's all done correctly. One of my favourites is a cooking club that we do at half term, where we invite children to come along with their parent or parents, where we help to learn to cook basic fundamental stuff in a safe environment. So we got a cooking club, we got a Saturday club for children. Have I missed anything? There's just so much going on at the moment. There's loads more. We do things like we do obviously the Christmas fetes, the Easter fetes that we just talked about, which I like getting involved in. I'm normally in charge of hot dogs, which is a big fan favourite of mine. We don't sell much. I seem to eat most of them, then have to donate it all back. But anyway, so there's lots of things going on. What have I missed?
There's the pet bank. So we've got a pet bank in there as well, and a hygiene bank. And there's lots and lots of bits and pieces within it. We've got a benefits and welfare advisor as well, who works. She'll either meet people in where we are, or we'll go out to people's houses, and she'll meet, either give the benefits advice, help fill out the forms, even things like blue badges. They now all have to be done online, and you have to submit the photo digitally, and it's really challenging for people sometimes to
absolutely
manage.
Yeah. So many of these services are online, and people might not be able to access them, and so need services like yourselves to help them, which is fantastic. How do you fund all of these services? What fundraising do you need to do to make it work?
Oh, it's a real mix, like Tony's just said. We do events. Our events are usually fairly dual purpose. So we keep the costs on our events as low as possible so that they're really accessible for people. So last night, for instance, we had a quiz night. Well, it is a fundraiser for us, but we keep the costs minimal as well, so that actually doesn't, regardless of income, there is something sociable for people to do. And that is really important for people to be able to access the social and emotional and support of the community and to do normal things. So that makes that is something that we have grown last year, and we're going to continue to grow as our events program, as it were. And then grants obviously form a big basis of what we do, and we're bidding for grants all the time. It's a competitive old world out there. There is lots and lots of brilliant work going on in the community. And lots of demand and things. So that's always a challenge, but one we happily take up. And then it's donations, and donations from the local community and from business sponsorship is so wonderful. The local community, the local businesses are amazing at doing what they do. We get donations, whether it's cash, whether it's items. We produce like a little shopping list so that you can go and have a look at the items that we usually most need. Or there's other projects that we've got it on our website, where projects that are specific that businesses can sponsor, or that individuals can sponsor or pay for a certain sort of project or towards a certain thing.
Like a pallet, for example. That's really popular with some of the businesses locally. They say it costs X amount for us to buy a pallet of food, and they'll say, okay, we'll fund that, or we'll put towards that. We've got collection tins in various things, and they add up quite a lot. You'd be surprised. I thought, but they do add up. So it's stuff like that, really, that means so much, and it's just great. And a lot of the volunteers organise a supermarket sweep quite regularly now, and it's becoming quite popular, where we sort of set up outside a local supermarket, and people can go in there and they can buy some extra stuff and make a donation.
That's brilliant. You mentioned about having like a list of like commonly needed items. What are the things that you most often need, and what's the best thing that people could donate?
Well, in terms of, there's things and cash, I suppose. Cash or monetary donations are really helpful for the things that we can buy in bulk much cheaper. And that's where that is really helpful, because it's not something that the general public can get access to necessarily. So toilet rolls, for instance, are really, really popular, but actually I can get hold of them very, very cheaply in bulk with cash under a charity account. So that's where cash is really, really very helpful. In terms of things, there are certain things that we simply can't get cheaper elsewhere. And it's great to have things. So our food, there are 5 things that we're always in need of. So if you just need to remember, tinned fish, UHT milk, cereals, tinned fruit, and tinned rice pudding, custard, that kind of thing. Those things we're always in need of.
Great.
The cereal one surprised me, actually, but we're always short of that. Whenever I'm passing, I try and bring in some cornflakes. Now, it's just a surprising one, really, but people really need it.
Possibly a sensitive one. What's the weirdest thing that you've ever had donated to the charity?
That's
that we can say on camera. And we can say
yeah. Shall I tell you that one? Yeah. It was a cream for a male person in, shall we say, somewhere where we shouldn't really talk about on camera.
Oh, right.
We had some cream donated for any males who might be feeling a bit uncomfortable, shall we say?
Okay.
In the hot weather.
So not an appropriate donation.
Other weird stuff. I've had people leave random stuff outside my house. You have as well, because they know what we do, and baby baths and push chairs and all sorts of things. Unfortunately, we seem to be getting a lot of car chairs at the moment, but I'm having to turn them away because
they can't.
You can't now if they've been in a crash. It's a bit like a cycling helmet as well. So that's a weird one in the sense that we've got to say no, thank you, and that can surprise people sometimes. But yeah, we've had some weird stuff. But yeah, the cream was the weirdest.
I can imagine.
It gave us a giggle, which is always a good thing.
It did.
It's a good story. They donated the story, didn't they? Have you noticed a kind of a trend in terms of like uptake and need of your services, especially with the cost of living crisis and everything going on? How's that trend happened over the last few months?
We noticed a big increase in the last winter. So not this winter, but the last winter, when the cost of living crisis really did go sort of quite extreme. And so we noticed then a jump. We jumped by 2/3 in terms of our demand, which was a huge jump and a huge challenge. And I am grateful that our worst fears, I suppose, haven't come true. We anticipated and allowed for that within our kind of planning. That this winter we haven't had that same uptake. We haven't gone up by 2/3 again. And I think that would have been almost unsustainable for us.
Wow.
It would have been a very, very, very difficult position for us to be in.
We're constricted by the space, so we're constantly looking for innovative ideas, how we can store stuff, how we can, just keep utilizing the space that we got to the maximum, really, as well. So we're worried about that, and we're constantly looking. But of course, if we wanted more space, there could be a cost implication. So that's also difficult. But we are monitoring it as much as possible. But yeah, the uptakes, we're pretty much maxed out at the moment.
Oh, wow.
There's so much that we want to do. I'm so sorry, Tony.
No, it's good.
There is.
There's lots more.
There is so much we want to do. And expansion is one thing that, as and when we can, additional services, all of those things, we're absolutely want to do that and can see the need, and we'll do whatever we can. But it's just managing that and making sure that it's a sustainable growth for us as well, so that we're not letting anybody down. That's the last thing we want to do.
Of course.
But going back to in terms of kind of capacity as well, we certainly haven't seen a drop. We've had an increase. We drove, given what was coming out of the cost of living crisis for this year or this winter, we very much put a focus onto our benefits and welfare support. So making sure that we were really, really sort of maximising that and making sure that people were taking up that sort of service, especially with pension credit and all of those kind of things. And that I think did make a difference. We've certainly noticed a lot of progress there with that. And I think that's helped with capacity. And actually that's the right thing to do by people, because people have then got that support ongoing and long term. And it's the support that they should have.
Right.
That enables them to then live okay and not not go hungry.
So when you kind of started in 2020, you started adding all these different services. Were you surprised that there was that wasn't there already? That there wasn't sort of this kind of help in place?
I suppose so.
There was a definite need.
Oh, yeah.
There were food banks around, if you like, and some fairly local to Ferndown. But it just didn't seem to have a high demand, or the demand was there and people weren't aware, perhaps. I don't know. But when we set up, we suddenly realised, gosh, this is really needed. And the people started coming through the door. I think our first week there was about 20 people that visited us, but we were soon up to about 50 a day, which is a lot. And we're maintaining that, probably more now. There's definitely a demand out there, and we're really pleased we're in a position to sort of plug that gap, if you like. And there's some fantastic facilities around here as well, and they're also busy. So it shows there is a need.
Yes. Which kind of organisation do you work with? Do you work with Ferndown Town Council or whatever organisations?
We really, partnership working is brilliant, and networking with other organisations that support people in various different ways.
The answer is everyone.
Yeah. Basically.
Yeah. But we work closely with the councils, Chamber of Commerce as well, are very supportive. So, and local businesses. That's where I come in a little bit, because I know a lot of the local businesses, they've been absolutely brilliant. Some of the local pubs in Ferndown, absolutely fantastic. Some of the retailers. So, we do. I'm not quite sure if I've answered your question, but we work in partnership with as many people as possible, and welcome any support.
We talk to other food projects across either BCP or other East Dorset or Dorset based as well. And we're also members of the Independent Food Aid Organisation. So that's the national kind of food bank association for independent food bank organisers, as opposed to, one of the larger charities that operate multiple sites.
Sure.
So we feed into that, which in turn feeds into government and things like that. So
great. Yeah. And you're based at Ferndown Day Centre, aren't you, on Penny's Walk? Can anyone just turn up, or do people need to, what time can people turn up to the food bank?
Go for it.
So we're open Monday to Friday, 2 till 5, for people to come in and use our services. We're often there in the morning as well for setting up, making sure we're prepped and ready to open, so we can receive donations then. That's sort of between 10 and 12, roughly, we're usually there. People can drop off donations. We're not open to the public to be able to offer things, but we can receive. And we're tucked around the back of the Day Centre building, which is the building next to the Barrington Centre, which is nice because it's very, very, very accessible for people, whether you're walking, whether you're taking the bus, whether you're dropping things off in the car or anything like that. We're town centre, but also we're just slightly tucked away. So it has got a degree of privacy
That's great.
Also, we have a helpline, which is on our website. We appreciate all the people who like to use us, don't have, internet connection sometimes, but some of their friends and family do get in touch with us through social media. They phone the helpline, they might live in London, their dad's stuck down here. They need someone to check on him or help him out. We're up for that. We're up for as much help as possible. We try and make ourselves as accessible. So it's not just physically accessible, but also relatives can get hold of us as well.
That's fantastic. That's really good work. As well as donations, how can people help Ferndown Community Support?
Volunteer. Yeah, we've got space for everything. If you like driving, collecting shopping, picking up prescriptions for people who are unable to get them themselves, volunteering in the food bank or in the food larder. There's loads. We're constantly looking. We've got an average of about 150 or so that volunteers at the moment. We were up to over 200 in COVID. I think everyone got a little bit stir crazy sitting at home. So, there were a lot of lovely people who came out and helped us. And obviously they've had to go back to work. But yeah, and people, if there's anyone listening now, please, have a look at our website, get hold of Hannah or I, looking for volunteers, anyone who can drive, that type of thing.
That's amazing. The last thing that I ask all our guests is, what does Dorset mean to you?
Good question.
It's a good question, isn't it?
Oh gosh. It's an on-the-spot question, isn't it?
Shall I go then?
Yeah, you go.
If I say Sun and Ice Creams, I'm going to get thrown out. So I won't say that. That's Blackpool, which is also very good. Dorset means to me, it's my home. I love it down here. I want to encourage people to start businesses here, have families here. It's just a great place to live. It's healthy. Having worked and lived in a city before, people don't realise how clean the air is down here. Really do enjoy living in East Dorset and being part of the community. It's a beautiful county. Yeah, it means a lot to me.
Excellent.
Yeah, I echo that. It is. It's a really lovely place to live. It's full. The natural environment around it within Dorset, wherever you go, is stunning. And so many people, whether you've got money or not, that is something that is accessible. And so many people say that. And it's one of those things that people kind of lean on in times of crisis or in times of celebration as well. And I think that's such a blessing that we have and something that we absolutely do champion it, and we should champion it because it's incredible. And with that brings community. And that's special too. It will always have its challenges, but it is a wonderful place to live. And there is some amazing things and amazing people within Dorset and some amazing creativity as well.
Tony, Hannah, thank you so much for your time for coming in today. And thank you for everything you do for the people of Ferndown.
Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Thanks for the opportunity.